You have been recruited to be part of the Drokendo Information Agency. We keep secrets secret. When secret knowledge, psychotic obsessions, or tempting valuables are on the line, someone always dies. We are hired by the desperate to hunt the insane, who've already participated in this cycle of behavior. Our agents range from the various force cults of the known galaxy, veterans on both sides of the war, and even members of the criminal underworld. Their job is to make sure that when this cycle of destruction starts, the storm is calmed before every volcano erupts and every monster is awakened. The Drokendo are a self-appointed anti-information agency dedicated to helping leave well enough alone, stopping families from being torn apart, extra wars from breaking out, and wild chaos from being unleashed upon the Earth by assassinating those individuals who intend to do the opposite. It was started by a rogue Jedi consular who came from a wealthy family of aristocrats, the mysterious Count Drokendo, from which all the members get their orders. This will be our roleplay guild for Star Wars The Old Republic once I can finally get it set up. But for now, all I can do is pretty much just play the game until I have access to a guild starter NPC, 5,000 credits, and at least 4 online friends. This guild is our main goal, but for now, I'm just shooting through this wonderful world of Star Wars with you, my lovely audience. I like this setup as it gives us an episodic crime drama-like show where each member of the guild, regardless of what type of character they create, can be given their own fanfiction-like story of a new mission handed down to them from up top as they have to do their own normal story missions in addition to this new one, as well as spicing up the roleplay they already have for their character. Oh man, I'm part of this secret organization and I have to go do this, and I have to smuggle drugs? Oh man, really, Mr. White? Please join us on this journey. Also, I'd like to thank Ronan Craft as he's agreed to fund my next 2 lightsaber-based episodes of Grimdark Star Wars, and that is the money that will go into making this guild for my wonderful community, by keeping me all subbed up when I need it. Thank you to Ronan Craft, and let's begin. Grimdark. Half off! If you'd like to see my progress as I make new content, enlist today through YouTube memberships or Patreon to become a soldier in the Grimdark Legion. My thanks to the men and women who've already served, whose names are listed here. You keep darkness at an affordable price. Our character for the night has gone through many names and many identities. He has been Covis Trojanol, Covis Cog, and Clovis Kogan. Most people put the age of the SWTOR protagonist, especially during the Jedi storylines, anywhere between the ages of 18 and 28, usually before 30 is what I've usually seen. I'd like to say that this character starts at the age of 26 and then ages half a year with every planet that they go to. Their life is uncharacteristically more action-packed than most Jedi in the universe, given the nature of the game. Our race is a Nautolan, and this age scale works for us because their old age is around 70 years old, which is somewhat similar, if not almost right behind humans. Now, when it comes to the Drokendo Agency, the Drokendo Information Agency, which is our roleplay guild for SWTOR, he's been with them for about 6 years. He was recruited by his first master into the Drokendo Agency when he was about 20. Now, the reason for this, so 6 years before the beginning of the story we're about to play through, his master recruited him within the same week as he sacrificed his life for both a small village being raided by Wampas on an unknown Arctic planet, and as part of a Drokendo mission. This led to an increased focus on physical training. This was due to a series of physical injuries we'll get into next, and a dedication to the Drokendo Agency based on his master's last words to do so. He was also heavily armed in the same fight, losing his left eye and gaining a scar, while also being nearly strangled to death, resulting in the permanent bruise marks around his tentacles and also his bright yellow eye having actually diminished vision and being somewhat mottled. And then we'll go into the artistic interpretation of that next. But as we were saying, This heavily influenced his path into wanting to become a consular, despite him having this build, this natural physique that he's built up over the course of 6 years since this incident, and also the natural skills of a knight, in which he sort of refocused a lot of his naturally high force-sensitive abilities into that kind of physical augmentation area and making up for his lack of vision and senses with the Force. And this, of course, will extend into his second playstyle once we reach Chapter 3 of our story, in which we will gain the Jedi Sage playstyle. But for now, we're going to use the Knight playstyle with the Consular story. And of course, as a Nautolan, his homeworld is Glee and Selm. His personality type is that of a tactician. He does a job because it's his job. He doesn't try to let it affect his emotional state. In fact, I would argue that he has married his view as a Drokendu assassin to his view of the Force. He views largely them as necessary kills, his targets as necessary kills, the same way he would view it as a Jedi with no other choice. And we'll see how long that mentality can stay, or whether it's challenged by the stories he has to live through. Now, going into a bit of color psychology, I want to use purple of his skin, the purple of the Nautolan skin, to invoke confusion. Again, when it comes to color psychology, I have just this diagram in my head that I remember from 9th grade art class, and it's just stuck with my head. So one of the things they talked about during that time was yellow as a symbol of the happiness we find in our childhoods, or the purest, happiest moments of our childhood. And so I really like the idea of the mottled yellow eyes, especially since brighter yellow eyes are an option. Theoretically, we will see these options when we encounter Nautolan NPCs in the world. And I really like that idea of the brighter, happy-go-lucky kid. And you can't see this on his personality that I wrote down. I wrote down ENTP, and sort of this kind of clownish, class clown personality type, this kind of natural, boyish, chaotic, funny guy. As a kid, didn't take life too seriously. All of that happiness and joy dies 6 years ago when he both becomes recruited into the Drokendu, but also has to witness the death of his master because he was objectively too weak. He was nearly strangled to death. He has the pattern on his tentacles is from extreme bruising, along with the mottled of his eye. He lost 20% of his vision in his only working eye, along with having one of his eyes scratched out and has an eye patch over it. So I really like that. The complexion, we just kind of did our best to take away the lips. Like, I really think his character design works best without the lip focus. The jewelry, obviously, that is 7. That is going to be our eye patch, the scars, everything else. In native European mythology, we also often see the right side of the body focused with energy expulsion and order, and the left side of the body focused on chaos and energy absorption. And so I want also this to be the time in his life, because it's his left eye that's damaged. I want this to be the time in his life where he is closed off to the path of the dark side of chaos, that I really want this to be a light side consular playthrough, in which, no matter how tempting it is to kind of do the stereotype, because there are a lot of stereotypical playthroughs, and one of the stereotypical playthroughs is Dark Side Jedi Consular, because it's so easy to say, yes, of course, he's a corrupt consular that slowly is trying to become a Sith Lord. Why wouldn't you? You're corrupted by the power of the Force. Well, in his case, we have a very real reason for him to value life, knowledge, and his duty above all else. And for him, that death of his master and the death of innocence was also the death of his internal chaos and a punishment of himself for the past 6 years, this internal physique-building sort of nightmarish hero's internal journey that he's had to go on in his training. And the thing that pushed him to the top of his class, which I do believe is one of the opening lines in both the Jedi Knight and Jedi Consular storyline, is that he's brutalized himself. He's punished himself for every bit of happiness. He has a lot of internal conflict. He's punished himself for every bit of happiness that he's had since his master's death. He doesn't believe he deserves the right to get over it. He does not speak his name out loud. That's also an excuse for us not to name him yet. But he doesn't believe in speaking his name out loud. He doesn't believe he has the right to speak his name. And he will just continuously go down this road of duty and honor until it eventually does kill him, which he will do so with pride, both as a Jedi and as a member of the Drokendu Intelligence Agency. Now, let's begin.